Wyatt Olson is an incredibly intelligent dude that Tech is fortunate to have on the internal ops side. Chasing down his doctorate in May, preparing for marriage in June, and then leading up the facilities and fan engagement side at Tech, Olson is just built differently. The Associate Director for Internal Operations at Louisiana Tech is today's focus on Tech Drive. We need a whiteboard for today's guest. I'm fascinated by the career arc of one Wyatt Olson and what has happened since he has landed here in Ruston in September of 22. He's the Associate AD for Internal Operations. And he was playing hurt, although your voice is a lot better than yesterday when I saw you.
Yeah, no doubt. Quick recovery, so that was big time.
Okay, I love that. We're all playing hurt to some degree this time of the year.
Right.
Crossover season, and amazingly, knock on wood, this instrument, the voice box, has been hanging okay to this point. Not say it hasn't taken, plenty of liquids and hot liquids and tea and honey and lozenges and chloroseptic spray and AM/PM pills and
all the
other methods that we won't
right.
mention here on the podcast. Zycam, it's all part of it. But for you, we're recording off of a weekend that was extremely busy here on campus. You had 3 home baseball games. Just over the weekend, you had 4 softball games. You had even more when you take into account the Bulldog Classic and the other teams that were here. 2 men's basketball games. Your heart is beating. You're here. You're alive. You've survived.
Yeah, made it.
You
persevered.
You have. And thriving should be the operative word for a lot of us because it's what we all sign up for. It's a blessing to be able to do what we do, to be so tethered to intercollegiate athletics and this space and help enhance the experience for fans, which we'll get into. And from my perspective, this is me talking more than I should. You're the guest, but this is my first true experience of all of this. In my role, I'm somewhat familiar, with the calendar, given my previous stop and the demands of the calendar here in the spring. But this is where we truly get to earn it, is kind of how I feel about it, and flex our muscles and allow life's training to really let our abilities shine through. Would you agree?
I agree.
Okay. And how do you shine through? How do you do that? How do you get up every day with the same energy and enthusiasm?
Yeah, I think, creating positivity and creating enthusiasm in someone's life, whether it be our staff members, a student athlete, a fan at an event, just making that that connection or touch point, I think, is a big thing for me when I talk about getting up in the morning. I think about just being able to create an environment and an opportunity for a new Tech fan to come in for a game, whether it be at baseball, at basketball, softball. And I think about the growth of the staff that we have here, and a lot of young staff that we have, from student workers to interns and all that in between. And so, I think those are big things that come to mind initially when talking about what gets me up and gets me going. I think the positive attitude and mindset of being able to grow, develop what we have here, and also do that during our game operations and presentation.
I'm glad I didn't wear that fleece, by the way. That was very eloquently said, but I chose this one. I was going to wear the powder blue Tech script one, but I'm glad we're not matching, because that would have been a problem. This would have delayed the recording even more. We have to address this topic immediately, because I don't understand how a guy who can lead facilities and event management, serving as a director, the direct connection point for concessions and staffing and the physical plan. He assists in a variety of other areas like capital projects, which I'll ask you about towards the end. But how do you find the time to pursue your doctoral degree, okay, all while preparing to get married this summer?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's all the things, the trifecta year is what I'm calling it, through work, schoolwork, and the wedding. So it definitely has its challenges and some moments of ebbs and flows with that. I think biggest thing is just trying to balance it all out in some way, shape, or form. Doing a little bit of schoolwork here, or doing some work there, and then planning the wedding on top of that. I don't know if I've got the magic, box or a magic equation for that, but somehow, way, shape, or form, we're getting it done. Our staff here jokes that they call me the master pivoter on things. So being able to just continue to pivot and move the schedule and figure things out, that's kind of what we have to do in internal operations. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's extremely impressive. It's online at Hardin Simmons University.
correct.
You are certainly redefining what it means to like overstimulate yourself with a bevy of added responsibilities, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm lacking productivity in my own life. So thank you for that. Oh, what's the prerequisite though? You need a master's, right? Which I know you have.
Correct.
That was in wellness, sport and wellness leadership from Howard Payne University.
Correct.
All right. So first step for me. Bachelor's degree, Western Illinois University, which oddly enough, this past weekend, they were down here playing baseball in Monroe. But I need to get that master's. So I am lacking in life. I need to get back on that. We'll come back to your journey.
Yeah.
But Madison Kaufman, huh?
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, very good.
No, she's great.
For those that don't know, she handles the ESPN Plus duties sideline. So folks might, recognize the name, and now you can put a name with the face and know that that is who Wyatt Olson will be marrying. Coming up here in June.
Yeah.
What's the story of y'all getting together? How did that happen?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Originally, when we met, when I first started here back in 2022, I thought she was married. And so she was running a homecoming meeting when she worked here on campus in development alumni. And so she was going through homecoming weekend. I saw a ring on her finger, and I thought she was married, so I didn't think anything of it. And anyways, we found each other back actually about a year ago now through CrossFit. We work out at Imperium weightlifting and fitness in town, and so we just connected through CrossFit and working out there, and just kind of sparked more conversation and all of that, and now a year later we're about to get married, so it's pretty incredible.
That's beautiful. As a guy who's still fairly new here, arriving at the end of June, starting July 1, I have come to learn that I just need to expect every woman is married out here, because honestly, every woman is married out here. It feels like, certainly in my bracket. So maybe I need a CrossFit membership.
That's right.
Maybe there's someone out there.
That's right.
Create the spark. Do you ever get a chance to see her on TV? I mean, you're always here when she's doing broadcasts.
I try to. I try to have a earbud in or something. Just try to listen in, or I'll replay it afterwards, or at halftime when there's a break and things. So. Yep, I try to listen back in on that, and I don't know if I give points or detailed notes or anything like that. I just continue to help tell her she's doing a great job. So good, and she is.
That was my next question. What kind of feedback, if any? But you're a fan, you're a fan of her. That's cool.
Very much so. Yeah.
Ruston has obviously been very good to you. Okay, in your short time here, how would you describe the way in which the university, the people of tech, and the community have pulled on your heartstrings?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, I think there. I mean, I think it just has been in so many different ways. I couldn't imagine, starting in 2022 to where I am now, just how much growth and development that I have personally in Ruston, but also, the growth and opportunity that it's led Ruston to give me in return. And it just, can't thank enough of, Gerald Jordan for helping me get in here at Louisiana Tech to start. He's been a huge mentor to me, even just throughout my time here. And, I think that the community of Ruston with Louisiana Tech is something that is pretty special. I mean, going through downtown, seeing all the tech flags, it just, really feels like home when you look at it from that lens, and being able to see that. Where I was at before, I lived in a smaller city of about 6,000. So Ruston, Louisiana at about 20,000 feels like a huge city to me. And, but at the same time, it's very personable, and the connections are just always there for you to reach out and grab onto. And so I can't thank Ruston and Louisiana Tech enough for just how much I've been able to grow personally and professionally within here at Louisiana Tech and in Ruston, but also to feel like it's home for me too.
So it's bigger than your last stop. How's it compared to where you're from? Janesville, Wisconsin.
Yeah, Janesville's a little bigger, about 60,000 in population, but no, definitely good times growing up back in Janesville, Wisconsin. A little bit in Beloit as well, which is in between the Illinois border and Madison, so it's pretty close by.
I did some directional research as a Chicago person from the south suburbs, just to see exactly where, because my first suspicion was, oh no, I got to talk to a Packers guy. But you are closer to Milwaukee. Because you're so close to Illinois, there still is a question because you're like 30 minutes from Illinois, if that, just north of Beloit, north of Rockford. Chicago's like maybe an hour 45, maybe Wrigley. Milwaukee, a tad bit closer. Are you a Packers fan?
I grew up a Packers fan, yes. I can't do the Bears. I'm sorry, Kyle. I just can't.
Sorry.
I just can't do the Bears. But I will say I am not so much a Packers fan anymore. When I went to school in the Buffalo, Niagara area, my last couple of years of undergrad, the Bills Mafia and the Bills fans really grabbed at me, and that I'm a bigger Bills fan now than I am a Packers fan.
All right.
So
we will.
I switched over.
We will allow the Packers confession to remain in the podcast because you've added that further disclaimer. And I feel like a lot of my personality and who I am as a human, like, I'm a Bears guy through and through, as diehard as it comes. But if I was to be a fan of any other team, especially in the other conference in the AFC, Bills Mafia and the Buffalo Bills, I can most identify with. I feel like with them as a fan, because you are a Packers fan, or you still, pull for them in some regards, and we're a bigger fan in the past. Are you like an authority on cheese? Being from Wisconsin, is that part of your DNA?
I love cheese. Okay. Yeah.
Can you rank some cheese? Like, what are the top 5 cheeses?
I did actually rank some cheese when I was on halftime of one of the women's basketball games with Kyle Roberts. So it was pretty fun. I don't know if I remember my exact ranking that I did. Havarti was number 1 though. That's the Havarti cheese. That's
never even heard of it.
Oh, it's. You're from the Midwest, and
but
you don't know?
Look, I try to stay away from cheese at this stage.
Illinois people. That's what it is.
Yeah, we don't want any excuse to be like compared to the folks from Wisconsin, because we hate. Yes, we enjoy cheese, but we don't want to talk about cheese too much because then your brain automatically goes to cheeseheads and Packers and that sort of thing. Yeah. So Spotted Cow is a beverage.
Very much. Yeah.
The adult beverage. Beautiful beer.
Yeah.
Beautiful beer.
Oh, it's fantastic.
You can only find that in Wisconsin. So are you a Brewers guy? You baseball fan?
Yeah, so also kind of a funny story as well. So my dad was a Red Sox fan growing up, was a big Roger Clemens guy when he was a kid. So I was more of a Boston Red Sox fan growing up from that regard, but I still root for the Brewers.
Okay.
I'm still a big Brewers fan as well. So I root for both.
Okay. All right. I'll allow it.
Bucks, though, I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan. I will say that.
Okay.
So
Milwaukee Bucks, they did win a title a few years ago.
They did. That was big.
Cool. Yeah. The Bulls have been terrible. So god awful. I couldn't appreciate Michael Jordan the way most humans, at least those older than me, would have loved to. Growing up in the '90s, I'm 37, so I was on the tail end of that second three-peat. But I'm most identified with Derrick Rose, and it was beautiful to see his jersey retired back in January. He's my age. I watched him play in high school. He's more Chicago's own. So the Bulls popped then. Great playoff runs, just couldn't get past LeBron and the big 3 with Miami and all that. So I don't want to. You're taking me to a bad place right now. You obtained your associates at Indian Hills Community College in Iowa in sports management, bachelor's degree in business management then at Niagara, which you've alluded to already, and you played baseball at both stops, which I was not aware of at all. So in preparing for this interview, that was awesome, because I love baseball, and folks, if they're listening to me on the radio and calling baseball, they might be feeling that through the broadcast. I always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. Learned at the age of 15 or 16, middle of high school. It's like, all right, that's not happening. How do I stay close to sports? And I chose broadcasting. But what kind of ball player were you?
Yeah, I was. I played outfield, first base. Did a little bit of designated hitting as well. So I don't want to say that I was a big hitter, but I love to hit. That was kind of my MO and what I love to do. So I did like to run around in the outfield, make some diving plays, and try to be a little scrappy with it. But at the end of the day, I love to hit. So that was my thing. I don't know if I did the best job in that regard, but that was my big thing coming to the park, was being able to grab the bat and batting gloves and go up to bat.
Well, you are selling yourself short, because Indian Hills Community College 2016, he led the team in homers. He had 11 dingers. He also had 46 RBIs, and that was before moving to Niagara. In 2018, 261 batting average, which would have been your senior year, I believe. Correct. Your second year at Niagara. Just 2 home runs, 30 RBIs. But you made a lot of starts from what I looked at. I loved more than anything the picture that I saw on the roster page. That exists. It's there, number 4. Nice purple proud jersey. But what stands out more than anything is the little frohawk up top, which you can see he's still hanging on to it as best as he can, folks, here on Tech Drive if you're watching on YouTube. But it's beautiful. And then combined with the facial ensemble, like, you are a dashing gentleman. I am very jealous.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
It's great.
In fairness with the frohawk, I will say, I'll admit, I did have that phase of hairstyle. I will say, though, the year before, we wore a hat for the photo shoot that year. So my year 2 at Niagara, I was assuming the same thing. I wore a hat when I got there, realized that not the case. We pivoted on that. So look, I had a little hat head with the frohawk that senior year in 2018.
As a guy that was rocking long hair at various stages of his life throughout high school and college, I had an Ashton Kutcher look. People would compare me to. I will always carry that with me to the grave. And hopefully, I'm still a ways away from that. Although I think I'm on the back 9 of my life, so it can come any day. But a little bit of the flow, the locks, and then the hair, the way the wings kind of just came out underneath the ball cap for me. It was
the flair to it.
It was beautiful. But because I wear hats so much and have had hair, I could definitely tell that there was a little bit of a hat hair situation, going on there that maybe you weren't aware. So it was flattened a little bit. But those 11 dingers, you could hit the baseball at Indian Hills. Do chicks really dig the long ball? Be careful. It's a family show.
I don't know. Back in the day, I stayed away from the girls. I was solely focused on the schoolwork, the baseball park. So I really didn't have too much time in that aspect. So So to answer that, I don't know if I have the answer for that.
Does Madison have any highlights of Wyatt Olson?
She might. We may have to get her on, and she'll be able to explain better than me.
Okay. Why'd you go to Niagara? That's a long way from home.
Yeah, was able to get an opportunity, got a scholarship both academically and athletically to play more baseball there, and combined for a full ride my last 2 years, and so it was just an opportunity from that lens I couldn't refuse, and as well as I felt like with the head coach that was there, Coach Rob McCoy. His values lined up very similarly to mine. Very much blue collar, chip on the shoulder. Wanted to play the bigger schools to compete against those and try to beat as many as we can and really try to prove ourselves as a smaller school. And I felt like for me and where I'm at, I'm very much similar. Ingrained and invested in, trying to compete with the biggest and the best and wanting to take them down instead of being with the biggest and best to take down others. And so, that was a big thing for me when going there. And then we ended up playing Virginia my junior year and took them down. And they were, I think at the time, they were 12th ranked in the nation or 14th. But, that was a huge victory for us and being able to have that with that team and being able to grow and develop with those guys as well. It was a pretty neat experience. I loved it.
That's interesting because I think that's a good jumping off point, kind of back to how that you're wired and your brain. You talk about your college coach at Niagara and kind of that blue collar chip on your shoulder and not really straying away from any sort of challenge, no matter how big. It seems like if folks aren't aware yet from us talking, you're someone that loves to challenge yourself and to learn. Where did that come from initially in your life? I imagine your upbringing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a great question. I want to say, I think from both of my parents, a big thing was to pursue my dreams and push to be the best that you can be. And so, I was able to find my outlet in baseball at the time growing up and really grow in that and learn a lot of different life lessons in the mental game of baseball that really has translated into my personal and professional career now. And so, the I didn't necessarily know as far as the learning niche that I had until I started really working started working after my baseball career and really understanding still so many things that I wanted to learn and figure out with myself, and where I wanted my career to go after my playing career, um, and ended up finding the graduate assistantship at Howard Payne and doing my master's there. And so when I was there, I ended up figuring out that just how much I still wanted to continue to learn and consume. And I told the athletic director at the time that I wanted to learn marketing and compliance, two completely different directions that can go there. And so ended up actually doing that of working in marketing, fan engagement when I was there, and next job after that, still doing some of the marketing, fan engagement, game operation stuff, but also learning the compliance stuff in the next job. So, really just figured out from there my want and my drive to continue to learn and grow and be the best person that I can be, both personally and professionally. And so, that's definitely my drive of continuing to learn, and that uh, I'm I'm not the most the one that knows all the answers. I always strive to continue to learn as much as I can and to develop. And I'm not the one that's going to have all the answers, but I can figure out where those answers may lie, and where we can work to find a solution on things. And so, yeah, that's a big thing.
I think that's a critical thing for anyone in life. Once they realize it, it's almost like a light bulb goes off. They put on the
Yeah.
big boy or big girl pants and they realize, hey, I don't have to know everything. I
Yeah.
don't have to have all
Right.
the answers. I
Right.
just got to be willing to work to go to the person that has the answer or go read a book or do the necessary research to develop an answer or a solution.
Hmm.
You don't have to have the answer all of the time. And that can
Yeah.
often be a hard lesson, learned and at different
Hmm.
stages of everyone's life. Um, we have that epiphany of sorts. And I know the way you approach life and your work, and it's awesome to hear you talk about it firsthand. I would imagine like how you operate can be an influence for so many others
Mm.
and contagious and infectious, if you will. And that's not, you're not oblivious to that. I think that's by design in a lot of ways, where because I operate similarly, you're
Yeah.
trying to set a certain example where you can help influence people and make others around you and strengthen a team. And grow people. And that starts with a
Mhm.
premium that I think you put on leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a big thing for our guys in our internal operations unit. We do weekly leadership development meetings, and so that's a big thing to understand, especially as those that are just starting their professional track and what they want to do, and what things they like or don't like, is being able to figure out who you are as a leader. And that's a big thing that I love to be able to just kind of help show to our staff here of it's not a one size fits all. Excuse me. It's not a one size fits all as far as leadership, and um, each person does their own way and is able to excuse me, do their own things. But at the end of the day, they need to understand what their leadership traits are, their characteristics, and how they're able to grow. And so that's a big thing to learn about in our leadership development, is who you are personally and professionally, and how that grows and carries into the job that you're doing now, but also the job that you continue to do as you move forward.
Yeah, no doubt. And people can lead from the front from a fan engagement standpoint at Patton's Western Wear and Patton's Downtown, dressed in press. Look your best at Patton's Western Wear and Patton's Downtown. There are hundreds of uniquely designed and officially licensed Bulldog and Lady Texers items. Patton's, a North Louisiana tradition since 2007. Make sure you rep tech, dressed in press, deck yourself in the fam out with everything you need at Patton's Western Wear and Patton's Downtown. Let's dive into it now, because I haven't even asked you exactly what it is you do. You have touched on it in a variety of different ways, and the way I framed some of my questions. But you mentioned some of the people underneath you. I mean, what is your team? How many individuals are working with you that you're helping to guide and manage? And what is it exactly that y'all are responsible for?
Yeah, so internal operations is for us, I know sometimes in college athletics, internal operations means a couple of different things, but for us here at Louisiana Tech, it means facilities and event management. And so what that looks like is a wide range of things from the from game operations and setting up, tearing down, and everything in between of the event management piece, and then the facility management aspects of, tending to making sure that everything's cleaned up, picked up, looks nice, both from a game day experience, from a recruitment piece, from the capital project aspects, making sure that that those things are tended to and managed on a daily basis. And so it is a wide range, as Gerald Jordan says. There are things that are $5 fixes, and there's things that are $500 or $500,000 fixes. And so that's it is a wide range of things that kind of falls within facility event management or internal operations here. And so our staff is right now we've got 2 assistant directors underneath me that divvy up different sports. And then we've got roughly about 8 student workers at the moment that help us work through, our facility management, our event management. And so it is a wide array for us it is hard for me to describe it in just a short description of kind of what ties into us. But the biggest thing that we live by in our internal operations squad is what we call it, or IOS, which our values are investing on selflessness. And so a big thing for us, especially in the game operations or the event management side, is though, a concessions or grounds or tickets or what have you may not be under our jurisdiction, we also, though it may not be under our jurisdiction, we still have to have an understanding of what that's going to look like on our game day, where some of our blind spots might be, or some holes that we have, whether it be a staffing thing or whether it be figuring out what our schedules look like in between a crazy weekend like we had this past weekend with multiple events going on. And so that's a big thing for us as we look at things from the array of game operations is creating an environment and an atmosphere for student athletes, for coaches, for fans, that we're able to handle what we need to on the back end of the house, that fans don't have to think twice of, that the scoreboard's working or that the video board's on, and all of those things that you may not think of that pop up on the back end of the house, and making sure that's all buttoned up and tidied up and ready to go for each game. And so investing on selflessness is a big thing for us, because we help troubleshoot and we help plug the holes that are needed wherever those are at.
What I love to see, and there's always examples of this in my own life, and I try to be cognizant of it on the broadcast side and with radio, and where I've been, is it's no job is too big or too small for you to do. Don't ask your people to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. And that's one thing I've noticed with you and so many other people here in this athletics department and on this campus, this university, as close and tight-knit as it is, you've got to be able to wear multiple hats, and you got to be a Swiss Army knife. And I thought nothing was more indicative of that during Sunday's baseball game of a 3-game set where I saw you out beforehand wiping down chairbacks. I mean, he's got a towel out there and he's wiping them down, and then Gerald's the same way. And there's also after the game, there might be a text thread of people who lose certain items, and y'all are out there combing through sections, trying to find a lost cell phone. I don't know who loses a cell phone in the year of 2026, our Lord, but it still happens.
Right.
I mean, this thing is in our hand and we're looking at it constantly. But yeah, it's amazing. So, you're doing all of that. And I see at the TAC, before and after basketball games, helping with, the first row of seats and the folding chairs, or helping to sweep the floor or wax the floor, whatever you're doing in post game. There's the netting process. There's all these different items that, you might have a crew that's doing some of that, but you're out there, shoveling dirt as well many times because you have to. So that's beautiful. There's one, I don't know what you're willing to share about it, but that piqued something in my mind from football season when we had the Origin Bank logos being painted down on the field.
Yeah.
Tell me about how tumultuous might be an appropriate word in terms of the challenges you had to get through in terms of, and it might have been during one of our weekday CUSA events too, where, some new field markers were put down. But with the paint process, there was a time, and I think it was before week 1, if I remember correctly, where you and Gerald basically had to spend the night here. Why? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so with the new turf that we have at football, which is great, one of the things with it is that we kind of found out was, just because the turf at football doesn't have rubber pellets as it does with baseball and softball and other turfs that you may normally see. It's a no-fill turf, as well as with it being a brand new turf, there's a little bit kind of the newness of the material on the turf that's a little maybe more waxy. I don't know if that's the right wording, but with kind of a culmination of those things, it was having a rough time to cure. On top of, we had some weather that was a little lower in temperature than it normally is in August. Normally August is pretty hot and everything can kind of melt, if you will, or stick better with the paint. But unfortunately, we just had some weather that was a little lower in temperature. We had a little rain as well too, so it was having a hard time with the curing process of the paint drying for those Origin Bank logos. So we figured out kind of a makeshift way to try to get them to dry as much as they could before our first football game, so that way they didn't get trampled on or didn't look good come game 1. And so yeah, it was a good bit of time out here. I don't know how much time we spent on it the evening before and the morning of, but yeah, it was a little bit of a project that we weren't anticipating at the time, but no, we were able to figure it out, and they looked great for game day. So yeah.
No, I agree. Y'all did a fantastic job. I think I went up in the booth maybe at 1 a.m. Would have been game day that Saturday, August 30th, and one of you was out there, and there were tents covering the logos, and y'all were doing the best job you possibly could, and whatever means necessary. So it got through, and we don't need to litigate any of the other things that are going on campus. But just know, folks, if you see something out of whack, like, people know, and this guy is on it. Gerald Jordan is on it. It's just a process. Some of it takes time and it's resources, but whatever we can do to kind of, patch it up and then have a better opportunity later in time to make a more permanent fix, these guys certainly will. So they're on it. What level of collaboration do you have between yourself and Gerald Jordan, who is the Deputy AD for Competitive Excellence? Obviously, watching paint dry and trying to make sure the logos on the field is part of it. But beyond that, like the capital project portion, like what does all of that mean?
Yeah. So I definitely work a lot with Gerald Jordan just on a daily basis as far as just all the things that happen and just making sure the flow of communication is going right, both from Gerald to me and me to Gerald. But from the capital projects piece, it's definitely a lot of me shadowing Gerald, and as far as understanding what it looks like, especially the academic center that's being built, and just all of the things that go into that from the construction process and understanding that. And so it is a lot of me taking notes and being able to understand where things go and how people plug in where. And so, yeah, it's a really neat thing to be able to see from start to finish and everything in between that of how it really works. And I know from an outsider perspective, it feels like it starts and maybe drags on, and then all of a sudden it's boom, it's there. And for me to be able to see the behind the scenes of that is really interesting, and gives me an interesting perspective on just what goes into the day-to-day process of those capital projects, the um, Coaches Plaza, Champions Plaza, all of that, and being able to be there for all of those. The track fencing as well. That was a um, really neat couple of projects to be able to see through my time here at Tech.
Sure, that's awesome. It's like a added layer of mentorship or even an apprenticeship in
Yeah,
some ways,
yeah,
you know, where you're learning so much under G in that regard. Where are we? I wanted to ask about it. The Origin Bank Student Athlete Center
yeah,
for Success. Are we on track still? We think, we believe
yeah,
for the
yeah.
fall,
Yeah,
for the start of
correct.
football season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So it is going to be here. Still getting put together, but it looks like August, September, around that time of when it'll be. More so, I think on the September side is when it'll be wrapping up and be able to be open. So we're excited about that and being able to see that.
How much sleep are we getting right now?
It depends on the night.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right. Well, off a long weekend and certainly a busy one on campus. Like on a Monday, coming off the weekend that we
Yeah.
just had, when you and I are talking here, are you able to decompress a little bit? And then I mean, you're here talking to me, so it's not. No day is ever an off day. I don't care. I don't believe an off day is number one, which is a blessing and a curse for me. Like I feel unworthy of life. Rent is due every single day. I've got to do a little bit of something. It's how I approach my level of physical fitness as well, but also the job. Like there are no days off, true days off, where you can put everything away. From my perspective, right or wrong, and again, that's to my fault, but that's just who I am. But for you, are you able to kind of take it easy on a day like today, Monday, and then you get right back after it on Tuesday, and there's a baseball game?
Yeah, yeah. It is a quick turnaround, and making sure to balance out the work life balance with everyone, and especially the staff, and making sure we're getting our time and spaces that we need to, as from mental health and all of that. So I think it's a big thing for us, that especially for our staff, of being able to kind of split up between softball, baseball, even men's, women's basketball, all of that, of being able to, kind of, with what we call the crossover season right now, being able to find that time and space for everyone to get away and take a minute to breathe, and then come back in for another game day.
Sure. Yeah, you dial it back up. Last couple of minutes with you, Wyatt. This has been
Yeah.
awesome. This has been very enjoyable. The doctorate. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
exactly it is. The research is, from what I understand, is focused on decision making among Division I athletic leaders.
Mm-hmm.
How administrators navigate complex environments. So, what does that include? That's a very timely type thing,
Yeah.
I think, to look at and focus on for your research.
Yeah, it is. It's been a very interesting time going through the dissertation, and going through what this looks like. For my research, what I've looked at is kind of from two different, one an academic framework, and um, a book. And so the academic framework is the Cynefin framework. It's an academic framework that looks at decision making, whether a decision is clear, complicated, complex, or chaotic. The book I'm looking at is The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. And so it's not an academic or academia type book, if you will, but a book that talks about the differences between an infinite game or a finite game, or long term versus short term. And so being able to understand decision making from that aspect in athletic leaders or athletic directors, administrators, is understanding what it looks like from the decision-making standpoint of whether those things are clear or complex or chaotic, um, and looking at how they make decisions, whether they look at it from a short-term lens or a long-term perspective. And so it's been really interesting to be able to talk with some athletic leaders to be able to understand what their thought process is in decision making and what that looks like and how they collaborate with their staff and make decisions together. And so it's really neat to be able to hear how they decipher some of the things that might be clear to them but also might be chaotic, and then also what might be a short-term decision that we've got to make but circling back on it for a long-term perspective. So it's been really interesting.
Yeah, it's focusing on NIL governments, like
Yeah.
you said, the decision makers, transfer portal dynamics, student athlete welfare, organizational sustainability and strategy. It's brilliant stuff. I mean, just hearing you talk, I think folks can glean that you are a man that is very smart, that has so much in front of him, and this is an extremely busy time for you. You got so much going on and chasing down your doctorate. You're getting married, and I don't think being in your role as on the internal side is something, not to move you out of tech, but like you got future athletic director written all over you. I mean, am I wrong? Like, what are your career like long term? Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Wow. Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Kyle.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I think that's a great question. I think for me, I've definitely aspired and grown to wanting to be an athletic director someday, and that's been a big thing for me. Being in the athletic administration side of things and learning, all of the things behind the scenes, but from the being a student athlete to now an administrator, being able to figure out what those things are and what that looks like for an athletic department to grow and develop. And so I definitely at some point in my career would love to be an athletic director. I've loved my time at Louisiana Tech and all the things that I've been able to incorporate within our internal operations squad and here at Tech, and also be able to learn and grow from Tech and the wrestling community. I think it's just been amazing. But yeah, there'll be one point whenever down the road. I don't know when that will be or have that crystal ball, but yeah, definitely would love to be an athletic director someday and be able to see that opportunity.
Well, you're associate athletic director now for internal operations, but it's just the beginning. You've been through so much. Your journey has taken you through a lot of different stops, a lot of different places, and to come from Janesville, Wisconsin to Niagara, all these small schools that I've had to Google and see where they're all at, all these different stops. The one we didn't mention was Sul Ross State.
Yeah,
that's the one I didn't look at. Where's that at?
It's in Alpine, Texas.
Okay,
far
so
west
like
Texas.
3 of these schools, 3 or 4 of them that are so important for you are all like Texas-based type things, but I'd never heard of any of them. But yeah, you're on the right track, man. You're doing awesome work. It's amazing to be able to have this conversation with you. Hopefully, folks have enjoyed it. Is there anything else we haven't covered that you might want to share about yourself? You got like any other hobbies? I mean, you like to read.
I love to read.
Okay.
Yep. Big reader.
Got any pets?
I do now with Madison. Yep,
Okay.
we have a dog, Archie, after Archie Manning.
Sweet.
So yep. So it is a sheep-a-doodle. I need to say that right because I think it's sheep-a-poo. I don't know. But I know Madison has a specific way to say it.
Sheep-a-poo might be right. I had a peek-a-poo Pekingese, my first dog as a kid.
Okay, there we go.
And then I had a half poodle, half terrier. I don't think it had the funny label to it, but I've got a black lab now, but he's back in North Carolina with my daughter. Who I'll get to see this week when she comes to Liberty. Dude, this has been great. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Wyatt Olson, Associate Athletic Director for Internal Operations. I appreciate Jack on the 1 and 2s here today. Kyle Cavanaugh, GB, Carson as well. This has been Tech Drive.